Welcome in, everyone. Week 17 Fantasy Championship weekend. Oh, my goodness. It's all here. It's come down to this. And look, we've got 5 games in the books already. So some of you may have faced Derrick Henry and you might be having an uphill battle. Some of you, like me, might have had Josh Jacobs and you face an uphill battle. So, well, probably both ways, right? Uphill battle both ways. If you had Henry, now you're just making sure you bank enough safe points to bring home the win. So, yeah, very, very interesting week. Do want you to know that Ted McMillan has an illness. Apparently, it came down this morning, and so he's now questionable with an illness. The inactives report will come out while I am on this show. It's an early kickoff. If I don't see the inactive, which will be for 30 minutes, and at that point I may see it, but if earlier, you need to make sure he's active if you have him in your lineup. I don't think there's a pivot. Jalen Coker's probably rostered in most leagues. I don't think that makes Xavier Leggett any better of a play against Seattle. I think that'd be a big downgrade, but there are weeks McMillan only gets a couple targets. So, I mean, it is what it is there, but just be careful with that. Outside of that, I have George Kittle, highly unlikely to play per Adam Schefter. Ricky Pearsall per Adam Schefter is likely to play. As to what that means, good luck. We already knew that Bashal Tutin is not playing, so probably a little bit better of a ramp for Travis Etienne, as Tutin was a little bit of a thorn in the side, picking up some of those goal line touches on occasion. So, all right, we got a couple super chat questions to start. Start with Thomas. Do I play Lawrence over Allen? Was killed by Henry. Look, I fully expect Buffalo Philly to be a shootout. And Allen had a bad week last week, but it was a weird game, and those happen. It was no reflection on Josh Allen, and it was just one of those games. And realistically, Trevor Lawrence has been on a heater. I'm going to tell everybody this all day long. It's fantasy championship. You got here because you're smart. You got to trust your gut. Your gut is often what wins and loses a fantasy season for you. So I'm going to say this all day long. But I think as good as Trevor Lawrence has been, Josh Allen has so many outs. There are games he might not pass for much, but he might run for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has outs. Whereas Trevor Lawrence, if he does have one of those games where it starts cycling downward, Trevor Lawrence doesn't have anywhere near the level of outs that Allen has on ways to get a big game when a big game is not there. And I think that's why you draft Allen as the first or second quarterback in leagues every year. Again, you want to ride the hot hand. Allen wasn't hot. Lawrence, massive heater. Then you trust your gut on that one. I can't advise sitting Josh Allen under any circumstance. Next, need upside, half PPR, Carter, Henderson, or Corum. Well, Henderson is coming off a concussion. Obviously, that means that he's back to his role. His role doesn't change. And against the Jets, we've seen Henderson rip off long touchdown runs. Those are in play here. Those are fully in play here. And Corum is limited by touches. 12 is like his max. They're playing Atlanta. Not the worst run defense in the world. Their linebackers are fast. Corum's limited. He scored touchdowns in 3 straight games. Henderson, in my mind, has the upside and some floor because he'll be on the field more than Corum will be in most normal circumstances. Remember, New England wants that 1 seed. The win is really important. And stopping the Jets is a way of getting there. Michael Carter, look, last week didn't get catches, had 2 targets, went 11 for 65 on the ground. Beautiful. And they're Cincinnati, it's a good matchup, but you could throw on them as well. I think season on the line, upside, I think Henderson is the player that you want in your lineup, in my opinion. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, another super chat. Hang on. Let's go to Scott here. Let's see what I got here. All right, Scott. 2 out of 3. Devontae Smith, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jacoby Myers. I keep checking the rain reports, and I hear this and I hear that, and it always seems like, how much are we really going to get? And so I'll tell you is that's a late afternoon game for and Wan'Dale and Jacoby. Wan'Dale's a late game as well. But I tell you this, I think I would put Wan'Dale Robinson here with Theo Johnson out. I think that probably carves out more underneath room for Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that game is sneaky shootout potential. So where do I have Wan'Dale Robinson in my ranking? I got him at 16. And I've got, Yeah, let's see here. And him at 16. I got to put the tag on McMillan because he's sick. We don't know if he's playing or not. And I put Devontae Smith at 12. But if the weather is going to be an issue, and again, it's like the last I checked it, maybe it changes every hour. If there's any worry about pouring rain, yeah, pouring rain will slow passing him down. Pouring rain will do that. So that would be something to concern. The running backs I'd be excited about. But if you're a pouring rain, then don't even take the chance. Jacoby Myers should be fine. I personally, do I really think they're going to put Sauce Gardner on Jacoby Myers all game long? To me, nobody's worried about Jacoby Myers killing them. Even though Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't put up fantasy numbers, teams are worried about him getting a big play. That's the whole goal of NFL defenses: limit explosive plays. And so if you limit that by putting Gardner on Thomas, Myers has his normal game. But normally, an underneath receiver like that won't normally draw an ace corner. And it's not like Myers is just yards after the catch beast. And so anyway, I think I would move them. I would move Wandale ahead of Smith for the weather purpose. I would do that. I have Smith high, anticipating a shootout, but that'd be the way to go, Scott. Good luck in your game, man. All right, see where we're at here. All right, Drover. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Watson on your bench. Hurt. Oh, yeah, I know. The Malik Willis thing, he had thrown 11 passes in 3+ quarters last week. Last year, he played 3 games. He averaged 15 pass attempts. We had learned that they don't let him pass. Baltimore sold out so heavily on the run that basically they were just giving Malik layups all day, and Watson just took advantage of it, which great game by Watson, but it was really hard to predict that. I did keep Watson because of I kept him fairly high in my rankings. I just took all the players from yesterday off, but I think I kept him at 16 with a downside tag. But you need Brees Hall, Dylan Sampson, and I'm still waiting for final word as to whether Sampson's starting or not. He's still questionable, so they haven't decided on his status until probably 25 minutes from now. So Estime, Spears, Raheem Sanders, best floor. So Brees Hall's been really tough to trust, and they don't throw him the ball enough. Now, New England, their run defense is cratered. They lost oh my gosh, my brain. The guy from Philly from last year, Milton Williams. Milton Williams, he's been on injured list, so their run defense really went down. Spillane, I got to see if Spillane's coming back from this one. Let me just double check that with Spillane to see if he's playing, because that's an important one here. I think he's back to playing this week. And let's see. No, Spillane's out. Oh, and Harold Landry's out, but he's more of a pass rusher. Their nose tackle, Chris Tonga's out. I am actually going to go on my depth chart with those injuries, because the last I checked, they were questionables. And so I think I'm going to put Brees Hall with an upside tag here, because that's a level of injuries on defense that run defense for New England has really cratered. So I am going to tell you that Brees Hall will be your pick, because, again, an injured run defense in New England is one that's really problematic right now. Another super chat. Henry. May or Brissett. Yeah, Brissett was rough last week. It was his only bad fantasy game of the season. The only time he was under 22 points. Drake May, I have at quarterback 4. The only thing you're worried about with Drake May is if the running game does really well, if they get out to a big lead early and they don't have to throw a lot. But it also could be they score enough points where May gets his done and the running backs get theirs done. May has been great all year. Now, Brissett's, other than last week, was great all year. And you would think against Cincinnati, that game is going to be a big shootout. So, I have Brissett at quarterback 7. I lowered him a little bit, especially after last week. It's going to be really hard to sit May, but it's also hard to sit Brissett. You have McBride. Your opponent has Wilson. I usually don't worry about who the opponents have. It's just you got to get the most points you can in your lineup. So I guess what I would tell you is this. May, just like my Josh Allen question earlier, May has more outs. May could run for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brissett really doesn't have that in the bag of tricks. There are many ways May could get you there. Brissett has to get there through sheer passing volume, and he could. And that game could go 40-37, and Jacoby Brissett could get you 30 fantasy points. But we also could see last week happen again. because ultimately, but I don't see it happening because they don't get much of a pass rush. Joseph Osai's out, no Trey Hendrickson for a month and change. So Brissett has more hypothetical upside than May, but I'd start May because if he has more outs to getting on, you got to trust your gut on that one. You got to trust your gut on that one. Drovers, everybody's most important question of the year. Yes, everybody's at that spot for sure. 3 of these, 2 flex spots and receiver. Oh, by the way, everybody, if you're in a deeper league and you're really pinched for help, I like Kyle Williams this week. Both Kayshon Boutte and Mac Hollins are out. Kyle Williams has had a few deep shots and he's pretty much been gold on them. And he has to play a high snap share because they limit Stephon Diggs' snaps. They need an outside receiver. And Demario Douglas is questionable with an injury, but he's a slot guy anyway. Kyle Williams, in my mind, I'd be stunned if he didn't play 70% of the snaps. I would be very surprised if he didn't get 5 or so targets in this game. I'd also be surprised if a couple of those weren't downfield, and he's very talented. So if you were in a pinch in a deeper league, definitely take a look that way. All right, so question here. Last questions, running backs that you didn't pick. That's not helping me. Just relist the question for me. I don't know what any of that means. I can't go backwards on questions. All right, Taysom Hill or Brenton Strange. I will tell you this. Last week, I did tell people that Taysom Hill would have a role. What I didn't foresee was that it was a going away present for Taysom Hill. His last game in New Orleans. And so they let him pass the ball. They threw him 6 targets. They gave him 12 carries. I don't think he gets that workload error. I think that was a going away present. I think this week he's going to get some work because they don't trust Audric Esme. Tennessee's been a brick wall against the runs. Just getting T'Vondre Sweat back in like week 7. Hill could fall in the end zone. So Hill always has that chance. At the goal line, they probably will get him on the field if they get at the goal line. And so it's a bet on a touchdown. But I don't think it's like last week where it's a going away present for him. That said, I don't know that it won't be. So I put him as Taysom Hill is tight end 11 with downside because, again, tough run defense. And if he doesn't get the red carpet treatment like he got last week with all the usage in every area, including a garbage time touchdown, it's going to be really tough to count on him. Brenton Strange, though, hasn't been Superman lately. But Brenton Strange is a part of that passing attack. He is on the field. He's going to get targets. I think Brenton Strange for you half PPR. If it's full PPR, I give him an edge. If it's half PPR, that makes it closer for Taysom Hill. But Taysom Hill, you're betting for a touchdown. If you don't get a touchdown, then Brenton Strange wins in half or full. All right. Big Meech, good morning. Oh, I got super chat. I'll take this one and then I'll go to super chat after that. Burrow or Stafford? All right, let's see here. So Burrow, I have his quarterback 5. Stafford, I have his quarterback 2. The only thing I'll tell you, and this is not high-level analysis, Atlanta has been a nightmare to bet for or against all year. When you think you have a great matchup against them, all of a sudden, Atlanta comes up and puts up this insane game, and then your player just totally tanks. And then all of a sudden there's a matchup that, looks like it's, not favorable. And the player goes up. Atlanta is so difficult to bet for or against in any given week. Stafford's been amazing. There's no Devontae Adams, but we saw him get it done with only Puka. So Stafford's my quarterback too, because he's deserved that status. Joe Burrow, I predicted 404 last week. He got pulled early. He had 310 in 4. He could have gotten there. Arizona, they are down a lot of defenders. I know their free safety, Budda Baker's out. Their slot corner, Cottrell Clark is out. I know their other cornerbacks are banged up. I mean, that could be an ultra shootout. I'll say this. Burrow's quarterback 5, Stafford's quarterback 2. They're super close. Burrow could have more theoretical upside because Arizona has a better chance of keeping up on the scoreboard and pushing the shootout. But Stafford, it wouldn't surprise me if he threw for 350 and 2 or 350 and 3 because he's been playing at that level. So I think Stafford, with the level he's playing at, he is the safest. But Burrow could get you week winning upside. New Orleans defense or Seattle. So I would tend to go with Seattle. New Orleans is a good defense, but they're more tactically sound. They're more they're good at tackling. They're not great at getting heavy pressure on the quarterback. Seattle, they have playmakers at all three levels. I think I would go with the better defense in this game. Trust your gut. Defenses are always a crapshoot. The best defenses lay a goose egg, and the bad defense ends up getting 12 points. So defenses are always a crapshoot. But I would say I would play the better defense because Carolina, there is nothing scary about their offense. Got a super chat question here. Chris, all right, appreciate you. To the finals. Yes, sir. Half point PPR. You got Kittle, who's not playing, most 99% not playing. Fannin and Strange. Opponent is 12.5 with 3 play, which is nothing. It sounds like you're in great shape. You know what? Apparently, all reports are that Harold Fannin is a full go. Report came out yesterday. I read a follow-up this morning. They're playing Pittsburgh. Harold Fannin is going to get a lot of dump offs because Pittsburgh's going to be sending some pressure. So Fannin has been great all year. Brenton Strange has been good at times, hasn't done much at other times, but they don't have many other options than dumping the ball to Harold Fannin. Kittle, again, it sounds, the last report, Adam Schefter, highly unlikely he plays. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Jake Tonjes, if he's on waivers, potentially could. And if you want to hold out that 2% chance that Kittle plays, but then you got to worry about a setback. I just would call it with Fannin and call it a day. Because even the Tonjes thing, I don't think that's sticky. I mean, he's just a guy. Yes, he could get multiple touchdowns, but it'd be really tough to go with there. All right, see what we got here. Good questions. Good luck in your games, everybody. All right, see where we're at here. All right, next one. Big Meech has half PPR. Pick one. Michael Carter, Dylan Sampson, Brian Thomas Jr., or Kyle Monangai. So if Sampson is active, my guess is he's the lead back. My guess is he could catch at least 4 passes, if not more, to have PPR. That helps a little bit. Yardage is going to be dicey. Michael Carter, I don't know how much they're going to be motivated to get him the ball. I think they're going to be able to throw it very well. Big Trey McBride day against defense that can't cover tight ends, you would think. Carter only had 2 targets last week. Carter gets his most targets when they are trailing big. Now, if you believe that since he's going to get a big lead, then Michael Carter's a great play because Michael Carter gets you 5 passes in that scenario, but he needs to be in turbo mode for that to happen. Brian Thomas Jr., really hard to count on him. If I was coaching the Colts, I would put Sauce Gardner on him because you don't want to get beat with a downfield play, but I'm not coaching the team. That would be my Kyle Monangai. 49ers are not a great run defense. You never know how the Bears are, how much work they're going to give him. So that makes it tricky. If the 49ers somehow get out to a lead, that could game script Monangai out. So probably the safest pick is probably at the end of the day Michael Carter, but I would strongly consider Dylan Sampson if he's active because I do think he's going to be heavily involved because they don't have Raheem Sanders and Travion Williams. I imagine Sampson would be heavily used. So my lineup, if they're all active, I'd roll the dice on Sampson, but I think Carter is safer. All right, let's see what we got here. Where's my next question? Right here. Appreciate you, Thomas. Happy New Year to you. Good luck in your game. Everybody, good luck in your games. All right, so we got Big Meech, Tyler Shucker, Baker Mayfield. Last week I was really surprised. I kept referring back to that New Orleans game against Tampa when they played with a lead and Shuck only threw the ball 20 times, and I was a little bit nervous. Last week, they just aired it out the whole game because they had a tougher run matchup. Well, this week, they're not running the ball against Tennessee. I mean, that's not probably happening. And they're not doing it with Audric Estime. And they're not going to consistently do it with Taysom Hill. So I think since we saw it last week, every reason to believe that they're just going to use Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson and throw the ball because Tennessee can't defend the pass. So we saw last week they're willing to do that. So I give Tyler Shuck the edge. Now, Baker Mayfield's interesting. In theory, super easy matchup, but he's had some easy matchups in the last month. He has one game with more than one touchdown in the last 5 games. So Baker Mayfield, I think he's hurt. I think that shoulder injury to his left shoulder is way worse, and I think it's probably hurting his mechanics. I'd like to say there's upside, but we haven't seen it in 5 weeks. So I got Tyler Shuck at quarterback 9. I got Baker at quarterback 13. If you feel frisky, I get it. The matchup's beautiful, but Baker just hasn't looked like Baker in quite a while. Could Baker throw 3 touchdowns in 270? Yeah, he definitely could, but we haven't seen it. And so I think that Tyler Shuck, laugh at this, is safer than Baker. But if you need to swing for the fence, then Baker is a reason, because there's a chance that Tennessee, New Orleans could be lower scoring. Well, both games could be for that. So I think that's what you come down to on that one. Any concerns for fan? According to the reports from Schefter, he's a full go. I was nervous when they brought up a tight end from the practice squad. I was very nervous, but according to the most reliable reports that we have out there, and that's Schefter, there are no concerns. Swift or Henderson? I got to go with Henderson, Quincy. Concussion doesn't limit your snaps. When you're cleared, you're playing, and the Jets could not be a better matchup. Swift has a nice matchup too, and I know both running backs split. Swift shares with Monangai, and Henderson shares with Ramondre. But Henderson has more big playability, and against the Jets, that's in play, because the Jets are a faulty defense, and they're the type of defense that will give up that big play or two. And ultimately, Henderson's a better player. And sometimes in the situation, you get the better player, and you roll with them. You have Purdy and Trevor. Which stack do you prefer? Your opponent has Kittle and Tonjes. You play Purdy. So if you have to stack, trying to think of how you're framing this question. I don't know. I think the 49ers against the Bears will have better success running the ball. The Bears are not a good run defense, and the 49ers run system should have success here. No Kittle, most likely. So I don't know they're coming into this pass heavy. They say Pearsall might play, but does that give me a lot of confidence? Not so much. Not the best matchup for Juwan Jennings. So Trevor Lawrence has been insanely hot lately, and I know they could turn to powder at a moment's notice, but right now, kind of hard to think that. So just in a vacuum, stack or no stack, I would prefer Trevor Lawrence. Where do I have Purdy at? Did Purdy fall off my ranking? No, 8. So I got Lawrence at 6 and Purdy at 8. But largely the Purdy ranking is look at the players behind him. There's like a bunch of players I don't really trust a lot. So the rankings kind of like kill off at 7. After 7, it gets pretty dicey. So I would just say Trevor Lawrence is probably in a spot where he has to throw more. I don't think Purdy's have to throw a ton after the 5 touchdown game last week. All right, we got that Steve. I hope all is well with you as well. Happy holidays. PPR, one of the running backs. Carter, Pollard. Yeah, Pollard has been great for he has 3 straight 100-yard games. He had a 10 for 60 the game before that. He's had a couple of matchups that haven't been great, and he's still done well. New Orleans is a very good run defense. And Pollard had a touchdown call back on holding, and then Spears vultured a touchdown on him. It's really hard to sit Pollard right now. And the interior offensive line for Tennessee has been blocking significantly better. Really hard to sit Pollard right now. Michael Carter, look, DeMarcado gets a couple snaps, and all of a sudden he looks good and gets hot. He could stay in the game. I know Pollard's going to give up some snaps to Spears. Ultimately, despite the bad matchup, Pollard has been playing at an elite level for 4 weeks, and I would roll with that. Carter, in his best scenario, needs his team to fall behind where they got to dump the ball, but there's not much of a pass rush coming. So that means that Brissett could find his receivers and his tight end more. I like Pollard. Trust your gut on that one. It's super close. Kevin, good morning. Need 2 of the following: Pollard, Diggs, Devontae Smith, or Waddle. So Waddle has been hurt by having Ewers at quarterback. Devontae Smith, I need to get a weather update on that game. While we're doing this, let me just type in Bills weather forecast. Let's just get a final word on this one. 1 hour ago, let's see here, NewJersey.com. Let's check out what they have to say about the weather forecast here. All right. A flood watch from 1 on Sunday through 4 Sunday morning because of frigid conditions in the low 20s. That the temperature we're not worried about. Although, isn't that crazy? If it's the low 20s, why are we talking a flood when 20 degrees should be snow? That one I can't figure out. Okay, I'm not a meteorologist, but I thought it was under 32. I thought it was snow, not rain. Precipitation 76% late morning. Day progresses. The temperatures rise. Okay, 46 degrees by 9 p.m., but that's well after the game's over. Rain intensifies through the afternoon, evening. 85% chance of precipitations. All right, listen to this, though. Rainfall amounts of 0.13 inches expected in the evening hours. Winds, the gusts are only 20. That's not bad. So, as we're looking at this forecast, and again, it's impossible to know what's going to happen there. I'm not a meteorologist, but none of this sounds ominous. It all sounds worse. The weather, the wind does not sound like a problem. When they're talking heavy rain, but they're only talking 1/3 of an inch, how much heavy rain is that? So I am going to say on the weather, everybody's got to trust their gut, because that weather report to me, that doesn't sound ominous. I'm looking for sustained winds over 20 for the wind to be a problem. I'm looking for rain to be over an inch or two during the game to be a problem. So none of that sounds based on the report that I just saw from the local report. So I guess that's for everybody. So Diggs, here's the thing with Diggs. And somebody pointed this out and they were right. It's like when New England's a primetime game, all of a sudden Diggs gets multiple targets and 100 yards. But then when they don't have a primetime game, he gets like 2 for 20. And it was like the 3 straight games before the Baltimore game. He was like 2 for 20. That was about his stat line. And they probably don't need him a lot in this game. So I don't think it's a game. Their history has shown they're not loading with targets. Pollard, you heard me talk about a minute ago. Devontae Smith, I have him as my wide receiver 12. I expect a shootout. But if you're worried about the weather, you got to sit him. So here's what I'm going to do for the 2. I'm going to go with, even though Quinn Ewers hurts, I'm going to play Waddle because he's going to get some short targets. Tampa is all kinds of beat up in the secondary. And I'm probably going with Devontae Smith. If you're worried about the weather, put in Pollard. If your gut says Diggs, I get it. But like I said, other than those few games when they've decided we're going to feature Diggs, they haven't. And he's done nothing. So that's where I stand on that. Trust your gut on that. Buffalo, Jacksonville, or Giants defense. It's going to be tough for Jacksonville because Rivers gets it out so fast. The Giants are not motivated to play for anything. Both teams look like they're tanking. Buffalo, good luck getting takeaways. I'd probably say the Giants because maybe some of that pass rush gets home. Probably go with the Giants. Gut call on that. Trust your gut. It's a crapshoot on that. Complete crapshoot. Jay, appreciate you. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you and enjoy the New Year. Jay, appreciate you always being around. PPR, Kittle, highly unlikely, Goddard, or wait. You know what? Goddard's been playing pretty well. And Matt Milano doesn't cover like he used to, the linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. I mentioned that last week. I go, you just can't run anymore, and the tight end went off. I mean, it's been a thing. So, yeah, Goddard has been involved. Loveland, the 49ers, I know Fred Warner's been gone almost all year, but the 49ers still do a great job against the tight end. And, I would go with Goddard. It just Kittle's not playing, right? I mean, it's not worth the 1% chance. And then let's say he starts and let's say he goes 10 snaps and he's done and he doesn't catch anything. So I would just go with Goddard. He's been wonderful all year. Wow, we got some thunder going here in Chicago. If you're any big noise, that's not me. That's Mother Nature. Huge concern for Tet today. Huge concern. Illnesses, if that illness pops up on Friday, sometimes Saturday morning, usually the player gets some IV and they manage them through the game and they're fine. Adam Schefter just reported McMillan is active. I just flashed it on my screen. He's active. But, there's a huge concern. I have no idea what his illness is. But if it's a stomach bug and it decides to act up and he's in the new stages of this, It's a lot of concern. And remember, Ted McMillan doesn't go off every week. There have been weeks where Ted McMillan has 1 or 2 catches and they find the end zone, so he gets you your 10 PPR points. There's a massive concern for Ted McMillan today. So, I mean, you can compare your options. If if you have a reasonable option that's getting you close to 10 points, that's what McMillan does most weeks, 10 to 13 PPR points. That's pretty much most weeks. He had a couple games at more, a couple games at less, but usually it's right around that 10 to 13 mark. So if you've got somebody is going to get you about 8 points, like I said, I'm not in the doctor. I'm not in their house, but to put him on the report Sunday morning with an illness, yeah, I mean, there's a concern. We have no idea, though, how what the illness is. Michael, good morning. Yes, sir. Made to the championship. Brissett or Hurts. So, look, Buffalo defense is not good. And I know the Eagles had 2 cupcake opponents in the last 2 weeks, but I begin to think they're getting things on track. They're getting some more balance. They're getting some more confidence. The Buffalo defense is not one that's causing them a lot of problems. If you are like you read the weather report, and if you see it as something that's tragic, if you think that weather report is going to be torrential rain, what I read didn't indicate that. If you think it's going to be well over 20-mile-per-hour winds, which the report that I read did not indicate that, I'm playing Hurts. But Brissett's always a fine option because Cincinnati's a bad defense. Now, Brissett was bad last week. That happened. I didn't see that coming, but it happened. He had been at least 22 fantasy points in his first 9 starts. Last week was the first time he didn't do that. Jalen Hurts had games below that. Jalen Hurts hasn't had the eruption weeks, but he started running last week. He ran for like 41 yards last week. That was huge. So, again, you check the weather report and you decide if it's catastrophic or not. If it's not catastrophic, I'm playing Hurts. I don't think it's catastrophic, so I'm going with Hurts. Great question. All right. Jeff, looking to fill your flex. Swift, Waddle, Gainwell, or Pitts. I don't know how to tell you to sit Pitts. I don't know how to, because so the whole point was Drake London. Last week, I had a hard time advocating Pitts because Drake London was going to walk back into targets. Well, Drake London looked awful on the field. He looked like he couldn't run. He looked like he was still injured. Why, in goodness sake, they put him on the field, I have no clue. And then Drake London's back to limited practices. So Drake London's not right. And I don't care how good the Rams tight end defense is ranked. Kyle Pitts has been an enormous fantasy contributor for 4 weeks now. I don't know how you sit him. Just don't know how you sit him. And the Rams are going to score points. And Falcons are going to have to keep up. And Kirk Cousins has not been shy about throwing the ball to Pitts. So it's really hard to sit Pitts here. Gainwell is a nice, great floor play with upside. He's 6 or 7 targets in 5 of his last 6, and he's catching almost all of them. And no DK Metcalf and no Calvin Austin. Does Gainwell get 12 targets in this game? Gainwell's in play in PPR. He's clearly in play. I just don't know how you sit Pitts. Trust your gut on that one, but Pitts is on a heater. All right, got a super chat question here before we come back to 947, which I better type here. I don't lose that. All right, good deal. All right, the super chat. Bogus edits. PPR. You need 2 receivers, a running back, a tight end, a flex. Puka in regardless. Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Taysom Hill, DeAndre Swift, Michael Carter, Rashad White. Someone's throwing your whole squad. I get it. Totally get it. It's a big game for you. It should be. It's championship week. All right. So, first of all, Evans is getting targets. Baker may not be great, but Evans is getting high leverage targets. There is not a cornerback on Miami that could deal with him. And Miami has safety issues as well. So Puka and Evans are nearly impossible to sit. So those are your 2 receivers. For your running back in this group, I think you got to go with DeAndre Swift. The Bears are facing a 49ers defense that has not been good against the run. The Bears blocking scheme has been exceptional. And the Bears have a great chance of moving the ball. With George Kittle, and you put Kittle in there, we're not expecting Kittle to play. you are taking a shot at a miracle for him to suit up, it sounds like, because when Adam Schefter says he's unlikely to play, it's probably less than a 2% chance. So, but that helps DeAndre Swift because at that point, the running games kind of take over for the team. So I like Swift as your running back. And as your tight end, like you may have heard me a few minutes ago, Taysom Hill got a going away present last week. I didn't realize it'd be that magnitude. I knew he'd get more work because their running backs stink, but I didn't realize, I never thought it through, that it'd be his last game in New Orleans. And so they had him throw a touchdown pass in garbage time. They gave him 6 targets and they gave him 12 carries. I think he still gets 8 to 10 carries, but I just don't think, like I told the last question, I don't think you can sit Kyle Pitts. I really don't think you can, because Drake London, limited practice, he does not look right. And Kirk Cousins has been locking on Pitts, and Pitts is on a hot streak. It's just really hard to sit him now, which leaves you with a flex. I know DJ Moore is risky. He, in the last 7 games, was it 3 or 4 of those games, he's been like 4 points or less. And 3 of those games, he's over 20, and he has 2 20-points games in a row. And Rome Odunze's out again, and the 49ers secondary is not good. I don't think Chris Godwin or Taysom Hill or Michael Carter or Rashad White have a high enough floor to justify benching DJ Moore. And after that huge play last week to win the game, you have to think Caleb Williams, whatever is going on between them, you have to think that that's not there right now. You have to think that confidence is growing. So that would be it. Be Puka, Evans, Moore, Pitts, and DeAndre Swift for me. Good luck in your game. And thank you for doing the super chat. People out there have been very, very generous on these super chats. That's why I'm taking extra time with you, because that is really an investment in your fantasy championship game. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, get to the next question here. All right, John's next. Couple of questions. You're the underdog in your championship match. Purdy or Brissett? For me, it's Brissett. I have him 1 spot higher than Purdy. I think there's a greater likelihood of the Brissett game shooting out. And I think that, again, Brissett had a bad game last time, but he's always had at least 22 points. I think the Purdy matchup's a little more sticky, especially with Kittle not expected to play. Loveland or Henry? I assume you mean Hunter Henry here. I know he did great last week, but man, he has not been a big part of that offense. Loveland is not much of there's not a great ceiling here either. That one's going to be a true coin toss. Ultimately, the 49ers are good against tight ends. Hunter Henry, maybe he gets a couple extra targets with Hollins. And see, here's a problem. With Hollins and Booty out, they might go to more 2 tight end sets, which might mean you see Austin Hooper steal targets from Henry. He did that last year. It was frustrating. I'd go Loveland, but it's a complete up in the air coin toss. There is no strong case for either. Oh, you got Hill. Hill has the best chance of falling in the end zone. He has the best chance of falling in the end zone. Again, I don't think he's going to get the work he had last week, but he has the most likely chance to score a touchdown. Loveland has the best chance of getting 5 targets. So I think Loveland is probably the best floor, and Hill has the upside for touchdown. And 3. Oh, no, number 3. Dowdle or Monangai? Monangai is dependent on some game script. If it goes his way, it goes really well. Dowdle has a bad matchup, but he still gets close to double-digit fantasy points. Seattle's a really, really rugged matchup. Run blocking hasn't been as good for Carolina as it was through like week 12. That's kind of gone down a bit. But at the end of the day, Dowdle's going to get a couple targets. And I know Monangai had a target or 2 last week. Dowdle's going to get a couple targets. Dowdle is the lead back. And unless he face plants, he'll remain the lead back. So I got to go with Dowdle because I think his opportunity is more likely. Again, this is a trust your gut one, but I'm going to go with Dowdle because I think his workload is more secure. Yes, Monangai could get 15 carries if the Bears get out to a lead and they get into closing mode. Very possible. If you believe the Bears are going to wipe the floor with the 49ers, go with Monangai. But if you don't, I think Dowdle's got to be the way to go. Dowdle will catch passes. And I know Hubbard will too. It's a real tough one there, but I do have Dowdle significantly ahead of Kyle Monangai. All right. Yeah, Von, I do think it does. I think it is important. Brissett, I have ahead, and I pointed this out earlier. After Brissett, the rest of the quarterback rankings are like a toss it up in the air and pray because none of them are good options. Even Purdy coming off of 5 touchdowns. Again, the Bears are decent on defense, and with no Kittle, it really limits what we're going to see from Brock Purdy. So I really think that does make a difference. You could play them a whole lot different, no Kittle on the field, and Kittle helps the blocking as well. So the overall offense for the 49ers takes a hit. So I would be, if it was my lineup, I would play Brissett there. As I'm telling everybody all day, though, trust your gut. Your gut got you to a fantasy title. But I will say that Carter or Brees Hall, because of the injuries to the New England defense, they are significant. And their run defense has been cratering since they lost Milton Williams. I'm going to give Brees Hall the edge here because I don't think New England's run defense is good right now. Now, Carter's had a decent floor, but I think this might be, and Brees Hall's been terrible for 3 weeks. Terrible. I mean, the quarterback's killing him. But I do think this is a matchup where you could take a shot on Brees Hall. I think Brees Hall can get a big run in this game. Everybody, mark that one down. I think Brees Hall is good for one long run today, and that might be enough to get it done for fantasy. Got a super chat, then I'll come back to the next one. All right, let's get to the super chat here. It looks like I got a couple of these bounced in. Oh, a couple you had to wait a couple of minutes. Sorry about that. Miami, Hurts or Burrow? I have Hurts as my quarterback 3, Burrow as my quarterback 5. Earlier on the show, if you weren't here, I read through a local weather report for Bills Eagles. To me, what I read did not sound catastrophic. I like a little bit of rain. It helps the passing game if the wind isn't heavy, if the rain's not torrential. But I want to make sure that you go and check the weather report on your own, find a couple different weather reports for that game. And if you don't feel sustained winds are going to be, as long as the sustained winds aren't over 20, as long as the rain's not going to be torrential, in that case, Hurts has the edge. And I know it's 2 cupcake matchups, but they're figuring things out. This should be a shootout. If you are at all worried about the weather in Buffalo, then you go with Joe Burrow. Arizona they lost defensive lineman Walter Nolan. They are all beat up in a secondary, down to free safety, down to slot corner. Burrow has a great matchup here. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Burrow may actually have more upside than Hurts. I expect that both games could shoot out. So it's a gut call territory. So again, if the weather scares you at all, play Burrow. Otherwise, I do have Hurts rated slightly higher than Burrow, and it's not by much. Eagles D or the Bears D. Purdy has those games where he starts to turn the ball over. That happens. That's a thing. I don't know that the Eagles pass rushes to the level that they're going to sack Josh Allen a bunch. I mean, I know Allen has a foot injury that he's playing through. I'd be more inclined to go with the Bears defense, but as I always say, defenses are the biggest crapshoot that there is. You all know that. You could have the best defense on the site. Like last week, Houston. Who would have said Houston won't be the number 1 defense? They got an early pick 6. The Raiders had no problem moving the ball on them, and that's what I want you all to understand about defenses. Defenses, you never know what you're going to get. If they take a team lightly, they play poorly. Because of Purdy's propensity to have occasional turnovers, I'd lean the Bears defense. Bears are really good at taking the ball away in the secondary. They've been good at that all year, too. Chris McMillan, or you can play Monangai, Charbonnet, Strange, or Corum to play it safe. So I was saying earlier, McMillan, half-point PPR. That probably is about 10 points a week you're getting out of McMillan. He had a couple games at more, a couple games at less, but he's normally right around that 10 mark. If the illness is an issue and he has to go in and out of the game, or if he gets sick on the spot and doesn't come back, those are all in play here. Season on the line. It's not like McMillan's this 20-point-a-game guy. So Corum is getting similar volume to Monangai. Corum has been explosive. Corum is a very solid play. Charbonnet, not so much. But Quorum scored touchdown, was it 4 straight games? Either 3 or 4 straight games. Charbonnet is always a chance to score. It's all super close. Quorum would be the player most likely to get a big run. Is he the safest? They're kind of like all equally safe. They're all kind of equally safe, Chris. It's very gut call range here. If you think the Bears are going to win, Monangai probably ends up getting more carries than the rest and ends up being the better play. So I'm going to hinge it on that. Otherwise, I'm going to start Quorum because and look, there's a decent chance if the Rams get out to a lead, Quorum closes it out. So there's that in your back pocket as well. Zabby, you have Kittle and Tonjes, Waller and Mayer available. Again, I always defer to Adam Schefter when he says Kittle's not expected to play, but your fantasy season's on the line. If you want to take that 5% shot that Kittle's gonna play, having Tonjes kind of saves you there. And Tonjes has been a red zone option for them, so it's not like Tonjes probably has similar floor and ceiling to Waller and Mayer. Waller's only playing like 25 snaps a game. And with Ewers, I mean, last week they had that primo matchup against Cincinnati. He went 3 for 40. That's all they could get out of him for that game. Michael Mayer, I looked back at the 4 games he played heavily. He averaged like 3 catches for 20 yards. Mayer's interesting, but I guess in this case, holding out hope for Kittle, who's 95% not playing, but having Tonjes, that's probably your best way to go. And then you need 2, London, Higgins, ETN, or Jacoby Myers. I hadn't seen anything weather-wise on that Cincinnati game that I noted the weather when I checked, and I didn't see anything. Let me see what we have here. Cincinnati. NFLweather.com is saying 18% chance of rain showers, light winds, 13-mile-an-hour winds. That's not anywhere near like the 15 to 20 threshold, 66 degrees. So according to that 18% chance, that doesn't look problematic to me. It would have to be driving, pouring rain in my mind to be a problem. If you think that that's in the weather forecast and I'm not seeing it, I get it. So that said, Arizona, they're all beat up at corner. Even the guys who are playing are hurt. So I would likely, and you know what? London looks terrible. Right now, after he limped through last week's game and did terrible and he hadn't practiced in full all week, I love London. I think he's a superstar player. I don't think I could trust him because if he practiced in full on Friday, I'd feel a little different. He didn't. I would go with Higgins in between Etienne and Myers. Man, that's super close. I still think having DeForest Buckner out, he went back on injured reserve with a neck injury for Indy. That helps Etienne. I mean, him and Myers are both in line for solid games. Both have equal chances of scoring touchdowns. Both have equal chances of hitting 100 scrimmage yards. But Etienne's been getting a big workload. It's Higgins. I would put Higgins in that game. I think that shoots out. For the next 2, it is literally that point where you're flipping a coin. It's literally that point. And so Etienne at running back, I have him at running back 8. Myers, I have him at wide receiver 10. I give Etienne the slightest of slight edges, but whoever gets the touchdown or the second touchdown wins. And I wish I had that answer. But my lineup, I would go with Higgins and Etienne. Trust your gut on it, but that's where I stand on those. All right, see where we're at here now. All right, I answered that one. Let me see. All right, Vaughn. With Rivers not turning, and I don't even have my I needed my earbuds for when James Koh comes in. Well, I'll probably just do it with my speaker. We'll take our chances on that and see what happens. All right. With Rivers not turning the ball over much or taking many sacks, would I take a chance on the Giants defense or go with the Jaguars? So the Giants defense is interesting because they do have some pass rushers. They haven't been getting home lately. But this is the kind of game where they could. And I don't think Colton Miller got active. Let me just double check. I'm sure he didn't. Just make sure he didn't get activated. Yeah, they didn't reactivate Colt Miller. They had opened his window to practice. And I think with him out, I do think that going with the Giants defense, I think you could get a couple extra sacks there. So I think that'd be the way to go there. Kells pick 3, Brian Thomas, Parker Washington, Alec Pierce, Emeka Ibuka. Parker Washington was a function of game plan last week, and it was genius on Liam Cohen's part. I'll give him a ton of credit because what happened was they were playing Denver, and they realized, well, it's going to be real difficult to get the ball to Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas Jr., but Denver doesn't really cover a third receiver well. So they got Washington 10 targets, complete function of game plan. I don't see that being repeatable. That offense wants to run through Myers and to a lesser degree Thomas. I think Parker Washington coming up the great game is extremely risky. Alec Pierce, I did not see him catching the passes he did last week, but he did. And I still worry about Rivers' arm. But if he's getting the ball to Pierce, Pierce has been playing great all year. So these are all dice rolls. I'd play Alec Pierce. Ibuka has done very little. The matchup's great, but Ibuka has done very little. That's a problem. So Pierce is in. Brian Thomas, if I'm coaching, I'm putting Sauce Gardner on him because Jacoby Myers, you can slice and dice underneath all day long. I'm really not worried about that. I'm worried about somebody getting a big play and tilting the game, but I'm not the coach. So I'm playing Alec Pierce. The other 3 are a complete toss-up. Brian Thomas Jr. is the most upside for a big play. And I probably would say Ibuka, despite having like 1 for 40 on a fourth quarter catch last week but he's playing Miami. So Ibuka might be a little bit of a floor play. So Pearson, Brian Thomas Jr. for boom bust. Ibuka, if you want like a 5-point floor, would be the way to go there. Got another super chat. Let me mark something down on my sheet here so I remember to come back to the right question. All right. Next question. Is the weather enough concern to make me play Godwin or Downs over Devontae Smith? So, again, I read the weather report that I got from the local area earlier. In my mind, what I read did not sound like catastrophic rain. The wind was not catastrophic. Winds for me would have to be sustained over 20. Rain would have to be like in the 1 to 2 inch range. They said 0.13. So to me, that helps the offense, not the defense. But everybody has to make the decision about weather on their own. Again, there's a lot of times where I say the weather is an advantage of the offense. It's only when the rain is torrential, when the wind is over 20 consistently. That's when it hurts the offense. The weather report I read didn't have that. Josh Downs has been interesting because in the last games with the Rivers, his snap share went from 50 to 75. And he's a great outlet for Rivers. Godwin hasn't had a lot of ceiling, but he's getting you about in half PPR. What is he getting you? 7 points a game recently. And Mayfield hasn't been throwing for a lot of yards. I would go with Devontae Smith. Godwin, I ranked a little higher than Josh Downs because Godwin's been a stable floor guy. And I don't want to say Downs has upside with Phillip Rivers, but I think Downs might have a little more upside. But I would tend to go with Godwin and Devontae Smith here. But if you are at all worried about the weather, you know what? Downs is not a drastic downgrade because he is playing heavy snaps the last 3 weeks, and I don't see that changing. All right, let's see where we're at here now. I'm at 58. Let's get to that one. Let's see exactly. All right, and we are right here. All right, perfect. Master J3, Steelers or Jaguars defense? You know what? I'm going to go with the Steelers defense here. Sanders still holds the ball a long time. Chance for a sack fumble, touchdown. I think that is way higher than the Jags' chances of getting that. Rivers has been pretty safe with the ball, and he gets it out fast. And Taylor's not a big fumbler. So I would go with the Steelers. Again, defense are always a crapshoot. You guys know the drill on that one. Shookson, good morning to you as well. Funny, somebody just asked, like I had a similar one. We just talked about it. So I said earlier, Godwin, I think, has a better floor. He hasn't had much upside. I'd love to see him have an upside game, but he hasn't had one. Downs is playing a lot, but Downs hasn't that upside either. I think Godwin's safer floor gives me the edge over Downs. And you're playing Evans. That wouldn't worry me. And again, I think in a vacuum, their Downs and Godwin are both ancillary players right now. And happy holidays to you as well. I do give Godwin the edge, though. He has at least had a stable floor, and he is getting some red zone looks. Not that Mike Evans doesn't, because, Evans is Superman in the red zone, but Godwin's is getting some red zone looks as well. Next one, Michael Carter, Dylan Sampson, Khalil Shakir, or Michael Pittman. I do like Michael Pittman here. Michael Pittman is that short area receiver who doesn't need to get a lot of separation, and Phillip Rivers already knows that. If they get in the red zone, he's an excellent option for size and wingspan. I do like. Let's see what Sampson. I'm going to talk here. Let's look at the inactives here. We should find out if Dylan Sampson's playing. I need to know for my lineups. TJ Watt, obviously out as we know. Calvin Austin out as we know. Seahawks left tackle Charles Cross out. We knew that. We knew the Bucs were out there left tackle Tristan Wirfs. That actually, we knew that, but it actually does help Godwin a little bit. Can fall out. Titans, nobody special out. We already told you that despite the illness, Ted McMillan is active and is playing against the Seahawks. Just be careful because the illness literally came up Sunday morning. Harold Fannin is playing as expected. It had been reported yesterday that he's like a full go, and from reliable sources. Marvin Harrison is active. But last week we kind of laughed. I kind of laughed when I said that, yeah, he's on a snap count, whatever. They never follow that. Well, he was on a snap count, 51% of the snaps, and they're saying he's still on that with a heel injury. I believe it now. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We knew that Chris Olave was going to be active. That back injury, he's been on the report with it for weeks on and off, so he's fine in this setting. Anything else here? Jets, nothing. Do I have anything on the Brown here? Dylan Sampson is active. All right, so that's very important news because, look, Sampson was heavily involved, and I don't think they want to load up Raheem Sanders and Travion Williams. I do think Dylan Sampson sees a real workload here. I think he can see a lot of catches out of the backfield. It would not surprise me if he had 6+ catches in this game because the Steelers are going to send pass rush, and Dylan Sampson is going to be, with Harold Fannin, a natural outlet. So I think, are there any other injury reports? Demario Douglas is playing for what that's worth. And let's see. Okay. So I think we're caught up on the injury. So that's important. So now I can get to the Sampson question. Pittman I still like, but Sampson is really close. Pittman has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. Sampson is going to probably get a lot of volume here. So knowing that now, I do think Sampson's floor is higher than Pittman's. Pittman has a better chance to score a touchdown. If you've been relying on Pittman all year and you trust him, no reason to go away from him. But I do think the environment for Sampson catching passes is really high. And in PPR, I would give him the slight edge. All right, let me make sure I don't have any super chats here. I do have another one. All right, let me get back to where I'm at. Okay. Thomas, Carter or Corum? Your gut is Corum, and you know what? You got to go with your gut, Thomas. And here's what I'll tell you. There's a decent chance, you never could predict these games, right? Betting them, good luck, right? But there's a great chance that the Rams can get a lead. Corum is normally getting you about 10 or so touches a game. He's been super explosive. He finds the end zone with regularity. They give him red zone carries. And if they get a lead, he could see extended work. Whereas Carter, just a guy, right? And then I know he's good, but last week he didn't catch any passes. So the 11 for 65 was nice. But I always say if DeMarcado gets snaps early and he gets hot, they're going to play him. So Corum's role is pretty stable. Trust your gut on that one. No reason not to. All right, see where we're at here. Okay, next one, Shuck or Caleb. So the Bears surprised me a couple weeks ago against Cleveland. I always said the Bears, when they can run the ball, they will. And against Cleveland, and it was like there was a weather game, and they threw. And the 49ers are not a good defense. and the Bears can have success on the ground or through the air. I have Shuck at 9. I have Williams at 10. They are razor close. Both games, you can see the scoring going in many, many different directions. Both quarterbacks will run. I think Caleb Williams has potential for a rushing game that could move him above. But I think Tennessee is what we call a pass funnel defense. They're a brick wall against the run. And I think at the end of the day, you want to throw against them. And I will give Shuck the slightest of slight edges. But if your gut says Caleb, definitely trust that gut. Harlan, happy holidays. Stevenson or Corum? Stevenson's interesting. Stevenson has been playing very well lately, and obviously he'll be back in the reserve role, but he's playing up to 35 snaps now. He had 80 yards against the Giants between catching and running. He had 77 yards against Buffalo. And then last week when he played most of the game, he had 78 yards and a touchdown against Baltimore. And now they're playing the Jets, and there's an excellent chance they have a lead in this game. I always say with Stevenson, you always worry if he puts the ball on the carpet, will the coaches say, all right, you got to go sit down for a while. I always worry about that. But Stevenson's getting it done, and so is Corum. So, and there's a great chance New England gets a big lead, and Stevenson is probably the closer back. I think Stevenson has potential for a bigger upside game, but Corum has been on fire. I'm sure I have Corum ranked higher. Let me just check where I have them. I have Corum at 23 and Stevenson at 24. So that tells you how I feel about both of them. Eyelash apart, right? Corum does get the edge because he's been finding the end zone regularly. Complete coin flip. But if you think the Jets can fall far enough behind New England by halftime, I do think Stevenson would get an edge with second half volume. Schickson, Barner, Burden, Coker, Parker, Washington. Coker is getting you at least like 45 yards, I think like 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 games. He has a great connection with Bryce Young going back to last year. McMillan's sick. I don't know what that means, but it could mean Coker gets a little extra work. Burden's tough to trust coming off the ankle, and you never know what his role is going to be. Parker Washington, you heard me say a few minutes ago, I really believe like last week it was because they played Denver, and, well, you're not going to beat Surtain. They didn't want to deal with Moss. Oh, let's go to the third guy, throw him 10 targets. It was a complete function of game script, I think. Barner, he gets you four-ish catches in a lot of games, so there's that. But I would tend to give Coker the edge, and I think Seattle's going to get a lead. And most likely, you never know how these games go. And I do think Coker is probably going to have a chance to be the leading receiver for the low-volume Carolina attack. I'd give Coker the slight edge. Max, congratulations. Tet or Jacoby? Because I don't know the level of the illness that McMillan went on the injury report with Sunday morning, which is today. Yes, he's active, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Doesn't mean he's not sick still. Jacoby's been great. Last week was a death match, but he still got you 8, you're in standard, so he still got you a fair game. Give me a healthy Myers in a matchup that doesn't scare me, and much safer there. James Koh, week 17. Welcome in.
I am struggling here, Jim. Not gonna lie to you. I'm 1 foot in the grave right now. But you know what? I was like, man, I can't let the people down. It's championship week. We got to get it going.
All right, you sure you're able to handle us?
100%. Let's do it.
All right, man. All right, let's get back to the questions here and see where we're at. Make sure I don't have super chat ones here. Let's see where. Oh, my screen bounced a little bit on me here, so I can find out exactly where I was at. I hate when it does that to me. All right.
I know.
Oh, it way bounced. It bounced me down a ton. All right, here we go. I'm on 10:02. All right. May or Brissett. I have McBride. My opponent has Wilson. So Drake May, Jacoby Brissett. What are you thinking, James?
It is awfully hard to sit Jacoby Brissett. Great matchup. And he has been dang near automatic. I like Drake May a lot, but I tell you what, I think I'm leaning Brissett here.
Yeah, it could be a lot of shootout potential there too. And then we have May or the red hot Trevor Lawrence against Indy.
This one, Oh, this one's a little tougher for me. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on Indianapolis. They are getting Sauce Gardner back in this one, which does matter. That does matter. But I think I want to. Trevor Lawrence has just been so hot, man. I think I'm going to lean there. I just wonder if New England gets out to a big lead against the Jets. Do they sit on the ball just a little bit, do they kind of sort of let Drake May kind of take a day off? So I think it's going to be a more competitive game against Indianapolis. Let's go Trevor Lawrence.
All right, we have a super chat question here from Thomas. Needs upside, needs two of these players. Half PPR, Michael Carter, Travion Henderson, Blake Corum. Who are you sitting?
If you're going pure upside, I don't know how you don't sit Blake Corum. Again, he's kind of a that guy. Corum is much more of a okay. We're gonna try to squeak out 8 to 12. We're hoping he gets into the end zone. I think if you're chasing upside here, we're hoping Michael Carter is the dominant RB1 for Arizona in a high potential shootout game, and then you got Henderson in there too. So yeah, I would say those two first guys.
All right, we've got Pierce next. Taysom Hill over A.J. Barnard. Gut says Taysom, but I know Sam Darnold's trying to throw the ball for incentives. Yeah, the incentive to win the number one seed.
Yeah, that's true. There is some of that. Yeah, it is interesting. These quarterbacks, I think, are aware of financial incentives for some of their players here too. So, but again, he's got to get today. He's got next week too. It is really interesting when we analyze these games. For a lot of fans, Jim, they think that the season ends today.
And it doesn't.
Which it does not. It ends next week, right? So there's still a lot to play for a lot of these NFL teams, for sure. And I know, seeding it does matter in some of these spots too, but I think for me, I kind of sort of like Taysom Hill just because they're running him in the running back spot, right? They're giving him running back work. And right now they would only do that if they don't trust their running backs. And let's be real, they're down to their third, fourth string running backs. So it's totally understandable that they get Taysom Hill in here. And I'll play him. I will play him in a matchup against Tennessee.
All right, and let's go to our next question here. We've got Rob. Good morning. Half PPR. Would you start Strange or roll with Kittle and pivot to Tonjes if needed? Adam Schefter says it's very unlikely that Kittle plays. Hasn't practiced all week. My guess is less than 5% that Kittle suits up, and I'd be worried if he did suit up that he finished the game. So thoughts on Strange or Tonjes?
I don't think there's any question in my mind. Just give me Sprint and Strange, when they go to Tonjes, it's not as if he's the only tight end they play, right? Like they're still going to roll out 2 to 3 other tight ends. Like we're hoping now that Tonjes plays, even if Tonjes plays, I don't think he's going to play 70% of the snaps.
No.
I mean, shoot, Brenton Strange, lock him in right now, right? So for me, Brenton Strange all the way.
May or Joe Burrow? Burrow's playing Arizona.
I know. Give me Burrow here because, again, potential shootout here. Shoot, guys, the over-under on that game, I think, is over 50, right? Let me look this up real quick.
Imagine that, a Bengals game with an over and under over 50. James, in the preseason, I said, just go to your now, I know Burrow will get hurt. I said, go to your book, bet every game on the over before week one starts. Now, Burrow gets hurt, and it doesn't necessarily happen, but I thought that was interesting. But did you know that the Cardinals are without their free safety, their slot corner, and both of their outside corners were on the injury report all week and ended up being cleared? It's a mess there right now in Arizona.
Yeah, I think, again, the over-under right now is at 53.5. That's one of the highest totals of the year. Go ahead and give me Burrow.
All right, forever student. I picked up Trevor Lawrence off waivers. Well, good league. I like that.
Crazy.
Started Hurts all year, but wondering if I should pivot for championship weekend.
I probably stick with Jalen Hurts. You're getting some kind of rushing floor. Trevor Lawrence. I love Trevor Lawrence. But again, I think we're kind of sort of. I wouldn't move him past the rankings past Jalen Hurts. Again, Buffalo's defense is not very good. That one could also be a high-scoring game as well. I'd probably stick with Jalen Hurts here.
And then we got KJ Frederick, Fantasy Championship Sunday. Yes, it is. Better tight end play for win. Strange, Tonjes, or Taysom Hill, full PPR.
Yeah, it's Brenton Strange for me here. Again, I like the upside of Taysom, but we've seen this story with Taysom before where he goes
Uh-huh.
off for 1 week and then, kind of sort of falls back another week. So give me Brenton Strange for the floor ceiling combination.
James, I was telling people earlier. Last week, I told people that Taysom Hill would get rushing attempts. I know they don't trust Estime and Evan Hall. I
Right.
didn't realize that they would make last week a going away present to Taysom Hill. It was his last game in New Orleans, and they let him throw a garbage time touchdown when the Jets weren't looking for it. Long touchdown to Olave. They
Yeah.
threw him 6 passes. It
Right.
was a going away present, is what it was. You're right; they're still going to use him in the run game. But I think last week was a real special thing that nobody saw coming. That was an amazing windfall if you started him, but crazy. But I like your take on that. Next question: better flex are Drake London or Ricky Pearsall? Full PPR. London looked awful last week. And then in limited practice. So I don't know why they
Yeah.
brought him back on the knee, James.
Yeah, he's not right. He's not right at all. Yeah, I'm a little confused by that one. That being said, what's Ricky Pearsall's status as well? Like
Right?
I know he's going to play, but how banged up is he going to be? And considering that San Francisco has so many options on the offensive side of the football, I think I'm still leaning Drake London
Kind
here.
of have to. Kind of have
Yeah,
to. It's like the pirate battle. You got 2 one-leg pirates going here.
yeah,
He's on a peg
right,
leg and hoping one of them does some damage.
right.
Oh, not so good. All right. Next one. Full PPR receiver and a flex. Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Ashton Genty, who was enormous last week.
I
So
know.
you got to sit one of these players. Well, yeah, you got to sit one of them.
Okay, so I definitely want to play Mike Evans, and I think I want to play T. Higgins too. Here's the thing with Ginty. I know he was an absolute beast last week. Are they going to play Ginty? The Raiders are sitting everybody. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
they're absolutely gunning for that number one pick. To be honest with you, Jim, in DFS tournament environments, I don't mind taking a dart throw on like Raheem Mostert. I honestly don't think that the Raiders are going to play Ginty a full complement of snaps. I mean, first of all, he's been playing so much. How ridiculous would it be and how stupid would it be if he actually got banged up in this particular ball game with nothing on the line? And they're trying to lose the game.
Ask
So,
Max Crosby about that.
exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Max is all pissed off because they're benching him. And, I don't know, man. Like, I'm a little concerned about Ginty. For me, this one's an easy one. I'm sitting down Ginty. No problems.
Poor Max Crosby. I mean, they made it so he couldn't even fight. All right, IR. Now you can't come back. You can't
Right.
fight with us. Oh my gosh. Great. Way to go, Raiders. Would you start Marvin Harrison Jr., who last week was on a snap count, about 51%? He's supposed to be on a snap count again. Emeka Ibuka, who fortunately caught a 40-yard pass with 6 minutes left in the game last week,
I
or else
know.
he would have goose egg. Waller, who had 3 for 40 in an eminently beatable matchup against Cincinnati, or the aforementioned Jake Tonjas.
This one's a lot harder because it's a lot more, kind of sort of volatility here. I think to be honest with you, I think I'm still leaning on Marvin Harrison. High scoring game. He is the number one. Even if he plays 60% of the snaps, I think I'm okay with that in a potential ping pong matchup.
Yeah, and Ibuka's just not getting the looks, and now he's had a couple plays that he's misplayed. So, yeah, it's not working out great at the end of the season. All right, next we have Brock Purdy or Drake May.
This one.
No Kittle puts a dent in that a little bit.
It does. And Ricky Pearsall's banged up too, That being said, it's supposed to be a hyper competitive game, right? Like the Vegas has this one over 50 points with the point total. It's one of the highest scoring projected point totals of the week. I still think it's Purdy here. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this whole Jets matchup. Like I'm a little too worried that New England's going to jump out and get a big lead and they're going to sit on this ball, but I'm still leaning Purdy here.
All right, next one, fantasy bro time. Waddle
Yeah.
or Gainwell? Gainwell, who has it's like 7 targets in 5 of the last 6 games.
Yeah, I don't know how we get away from Gainwell at this point. I mean, he's been too good. Again, Miami's offense is a mess. Quinn Ewers sucks. He's
Mhm.
terrible. I'm good with Gainwell.
Let's do one more here, James. Jeff Marcus wants to know need two in a flex PPR. Pittman, Pierce, Kyle Williams, Taysom Hill, or Dylan. We'll call him Sampson instead of Dampson.
Yeah, that's right.
Although that might have been a self-fulfilling prophecy
I
there.
know, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know what? I think I am. This one's going to sound a little crazy, but I think I'm leaning Pittman here. I know Pierce has been the much more splashy play. I just feel like Pittman's time is coming, man. You know, his skill set is too good, and his skill set with Phillip Rivers makes too much sense for me. You know, Phillip Rivers can't throw the ball downfield at all. Pittman really loves to work in that short and intermediate area. I think I'm leaning Pittman here.
James, before the 10:23 question, we do have one more super chat we need to get to.
There it is.
Need upside. Dylan Sampson or Kenneth Walker?
I think if you need absolute upside, I probably am leaning Ken Walker, just because he could break off a couple big plays, and Lord knows they're not giving him the ball around the goal line. But
Oh,
again, if we're chasing upside, to me, it's Ken Walker. Sampson's in just the offense is just not that good. It's supposed to be a low scoring game, and they're going to work in a couple different running backs there too.
James, thanks for playing hurt. We're on the 10:23 question.
I
Everybody
love
out
it.
there, listen to what we say, but trust your gut. It got you to this
Championship week.
point. It's what will
Exactly.
carry over to finish line. Happy New Year to all, James. Thanks for covering in.
All right, man. Jim, we'll see you, pal. All right, so here we are, man. Like I said, I'm struggling here today, folks, but you know what? I am determined. Today I am championship week. I'm determined to get to all of your questions this week. Okay, so we are with Jelly of the Month, Blake Corum, Tet McMillan, who is questionable. Who are we going with here today? I'm leaning Tet, but I could be talked off of this one. This one to me is a true coin flip. Tet McMillan has been kind of sort of up and down this year, but that being said, the Seattle matchup scares me quite a bit. And meanwhile, you know what? Actually, am I talking myself into Blake Corum here? Let me see what Atlanta's doing against running backs here, real quick. So they have allowed 4.55 yards per carry. That's a bottom 10 figure. And they're also bottom 3 in run stuff rate, which is really, really interesting. So, shoot, am I talking myself into this? I think I might be. I think I might be talking myself into Blake Corum. Let's go Blake Corum right here. The Seattle matchup scares me, I think, a little bit too much with Tet McMillan. Let's go. Cindy Kuberg. Cindy, what's up? Good morning to you. Always love watching. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everyone out there, by the way. Okay, PPR flex. Kenneth Walker, Jalen Warren, or Stephon Diggs. I really like Stephon Diggs of this group. That being said, the Seattle matchup for me is really, really interesting too. Because when we're talking about Carolina is a team that has given up a ton of production to the running back spot. Again, I think if you're chasing more of a floor, Cindy, give me Stephon Diggs. I think if you're chasing upside, go ahead and give me Kenneth Walker. That would be my thought here. Carolina's given up a ton of production to the running back position. They're bottom 8 in terms of fantasy points allowed. When you take a look across the board, bottom 5 in run stuff rate to running backs. They are bottom 2 in yards before contact, which means how much yards are they getting before they even see a defender make a tackle attempt? They're bottom 2. So yeah, it's a pretty good matchup. The only thing is obviously with Kenneth Walker is how many touchdown opportunities is he going to get? Not many. You know what I mean? So I think, again, if you're looking for floor, give me Stephon Diggs. If you're looking for upside, Kenneth Walker, 100%. Steve Arnold, I need one, Stevenson or Bucky. I feel like we're probably, oh man. You know what? Give me Ramondre here. I don't love it. But that being said, again, if New England does get out to a big lead, I do think that Ramondre will see a good amount of work here. That being said, there's no question that Bucky Irving gives you the best ceiling. Again, it's a Florida matchup here. Tampa Bay taking on Miami. But in Miami has obviously struggled containing the run here as well. But, we're talking about the 10th worst defense against running backs, right? They've given up the 10th most points. I do think Bucky's in a really good bounce back spot if we're looking at a ceiling. But again, if you're looking at floor, I'll take Ramondre. But you know what? I think if it was my own personal team, I'm playing Stevenson. But again, if you need a big number, Steve Arnold. I think Bucky Irving's the way to go. Okay, Adventures from the Queue. Full point PPR. You need a flex. Jalen Warren. Good floor. Is he good floor, though? I don't know. Ramondre Stevenson, good matchup. Pats could limit Hendo to be safe. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You know what? I didn't even think about that one. But you're right. He's coming off of that concussion. Do they want to protect their young asset? I think there's something there. Parker Washington, good matchup, high ceiling. Yeah, for me, again, I think if we're talking about ceiling, it's Parker Washington. But again, there is a real competition for targets there, right? We're talking about BTJ is in there. Obviously, Jacoby's their number one. Brenton Strange, they've got their running back. They're going to go to ETN a bunch, right? So Parker Washington could be like the fourth or fifth option. That being said, great matchup. He's one of my favorite sleepers. If you guys watch my sleeper video on RotoWire, he's one of my favorite sleepers is Parker Washington, but he is a sleeper. So again, I think Ramondre probably for floor. If you absolutely need maximum ceiling, give me Parker Washington. But overall, probably leaning. I think we hit Jalen Warren out. I think I'm probably leaning Stevenson here, but I think Parker Washington again. If we're really trying to get that number, Parker Washington is a good play. Okay, Big Meech, half PPR. I love the screen name. Half PPR, Tet or Corum. Another Tet or Corum question. I just answered this one, right? So we're going Corum here. Good matchup. And as a matter of fact, I'm just more worried about the Seattle matchup for Tet. Kells, pick 3. Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, Alec Pierce, Emeka Ibuka. I think you want to go with your first 3. Brian Thomas, this is not that hard for me. Emeka Ibuka is so interesting. He really, really is. Unfortunately, it's just too heavy of a competition for targets there. So give me BTJ, Parker. Here's the thing with Ibuka. If they weren't working in Jalen McMillan, I would love Ibuka. Like, give me that trio of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, but they are determined to get Jalen McMillan some work there. So I'm a little bit worried about that one. I'll take BTJ, Parker Washington, Alec Pierce. Again, Alec Pierce has a great matchup against the Colts. Sauce Gardner is back, which does limit his upside just a little bit. But that being said, pretty good matchup overall. Indianapolis has given up a ton of production to outside wide receiver. Pierce has been a big play threat for them, and they've looked to him in the end zone as well, which is nice. Drew Hammond, full point PPR. Emeka Ibuka, Wan'Dale Robinson. If you tell me that Jackson Dart is going to play the entire game, I can't get away from Wan'Dale. So the floor for both is actually, I think the floor actually for Ibuka is way lower. I'll take Wan'Dale. I'll take Wan'Dale right here. He's had a couple of hiccups this year, but overall, when Jackson Dart has played, Wan'Dale has been pretty much automatic. Easy goer. Thanks for getting me into the finals. Not me. Easy goer. That's all Jim. You're in the finals of 4 of 6 leagues, though, bro. You know how that is so tough to do? That is so impressive. That is so impressive. I don't care how much research you do. I mean, injuries are a big part of it. Injuries are a huge part of it. Injuries, to me, I think, is probably, especially in a 17-week, season. That's probably the biggest aspect of it is the injuries there. So I'm very impressed. That's really, really good stuff, easy goer. Corum or Meyer? Oh, Jacoby. No, not even thinking about this one. Give me Jacoby Myers. So yeah, let's go Jacoby right there. Okay, if Tet is out, Parker Washington or Coker? Sounds like Tet's in. Parker Washington or Coker? I like Parker Washington more than Coker, just because of the matchup here. But yeah, let me look up one little thing here. I want to make sure. I think Tet is going though, right? Like, let's look. Tet McMillan. Yeah, okay, he's likely to play. Okay. Yeah. All right, we're good. We're good right there, y'all. Yeah, I think Blake Corum is in an interesting spot for sure. For sure. Man, I'm just, I don't know, man. Look, I love Blake Corum. I do. I really, really do. I'm just, yeah, I think he's going to get all the work, but it's just such a, oh man, it's hard to trust him in the championship. I guess that's where I'm at. Okay. Get some Lawrence or Tyler Shuck going against Olave and Taysom, I think is what we're saying here. Okay. You're going against Olave and Taysom. Okay, so you're a little worried about playing Shuck. To me, I think I play Lawrence regardless. And again, if you're going up against Olave and Taysom Hill, yeah, it's not bad. Like, give me Trevor Lawrence right here, man. I think you've convinced yourself of that situation as well. Easy goer. Kyle Pitts or Michael Wilson? You know what, man? I'm gonna go Michael Wilson. High scoring game, potentially great matchup against Cincinnati. Michael Wilson has shown himself to be pretty good. And I know MHJ will be there too, but that's okay. Give me Michael Wilson right here. Okay, Chris Marin with Kittle out. Loveland, Tonjes, Hill. Taysom Hill, I'm assuming. I'll take Taysom Hill for floor. Tonjes is so interesting, y'all, because, again, there's no guarantee that Tonjes is going to be, and pardon me, by the way, like I said, I am hurting today. I'm like half dead. But there's no guarantee I think Tonjes plays 70% of the snaps. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'll take Taysom Hill. He's going to get some running back carries. I like the fact that they were throwing him the football too. I don't know how much they're going to let him pass. But I do like the fact that he was seeing targets and that he was running the rock. Give that to me, man, for sure. Chris Marin. Waddle or Corum or Sanson? Give me Blake Corum here. These other ones are not great options. Quinn Ewers is terrible, y'all. Quinn Ewers is horrible. I'll take Blake Corum. Give it to me. Okay. Taysom. Hold on. Taysom or Barner for PPR. I think I'm leaning Taysom right here, Mr. ADW. Maybe I'm wrong here, but again, I just like the fact that we know for sure he's going to be on the football field. So that has been really, really nice. To me, I can't get away from some of that floor. So yeah, maybe I think I'm leaning Taysom right there. Yeah, all right, here we go. So, Horace, Saldana, Allen or Purdy? Yeah, give me Josh Allen here. I think it's supposed to be a pretty high scoring game. I know Josh Allen has been a disappointment this year in various different games. Like, how does this I just God, please make a coaching change, Buffalo. Honestly. We need a coaching change. I don't know how Allen goes from like 6 touchdowns to no touchdowns to 5 touchdowns to 1 touchdown. Like, Just it's madness. It's absolute madness. It's crazy. Go ahead and give me Josh Allen right here. Again, it's supposed to be a pretty high scoring game. When you're taking a look across the board here, Buffalo's taking on Philadelphia, and Philadelphia's defense is okay. I don't think they're shut down. 45.5 is the over under, but again, it's really funny, right? Like if they get after the quarterback, good luck because Josh Allen's going to run, and that's what you want for fantasy purposes. If they play back and try to force him to throw the football, well, and they might try to do that. I mean, he's still got a good enough arm that he can make that happen too. You give Josh Allen a ton of time in the pocket with no pressure, dude, he's still going to burn you. It's really interesting what Philadelphia is going to do. I think that they'll just go heavy man pressure and see if they can get home. And if they do that, which by the way, that's what they normally do. If they play a lot of man to man against Josh Allen, it's over on the rushing department. So he'll come through for you on the ground. Is Josh Allen. So I feel pretty confident about that, to be honest with you. The San Francisco matchup against Chicago is really interesting too, but no Kittle and Ricky Pearsall banged up here a little bit makes me feel like they might try to lean on CMC on the ground just a little bit, but I'll take Josh Allen. Caesar Wrangle. Full point PPR. Tonjes, May, or Hill? Oh, Mayer. I was like, May? Mayer. Tonjes Mayer or Taysom Hill? Well, Mayer is one of my favorite sleepers. That being said, a little tough to trust. Little tough to trust. He even when he has had a full-time role, it's not like he's been automatic. And the Raiders offense obviously has been really, really bad. But it's a great matchup against the Giants. There's no question, right? So I think I'm still leaning Taysom Hill right here. But again, if I had to rank them, it'd be Taysom, Mayer, Mason, Tonjes Mayer, I think, is probably how I'm going right there. Give me the better offenses, you know what I mean? Alex, PPR flex, Swift or Michael Wilson? What's your handle there? Alexio? I don't know, maybe. PPR flex, Swift or Michael Wilson? This one, I feel pretty confident about Michael Wilson. No? I feel pretty confident about Michael Wilson. Swift is holding on to that 60-40 advantage there in the backfield for Chicago. Let me take one quick look, though, at San Francisco's rush defense here before I give you a final verdict here. San Francisco's rush defense has allowed a ton of production out of the backfield. That's what makes them interesting because, obviously no Fred Warner. They're not able to cover running backs as well. They have given up the second most receptions per game to the running back position. And, man, they have given up an 84% completion rate to running backs. That's the fifth worst in the NFL. Otherwise, across the board, it's actually a pretty neutral matchup for running backs. So I will say, like I said, I'll stick with Michael Wilson in what could potentially be a crazy high-scoring game. If it's a big-time shootout, Michael Wilson at least I think gives you pretty good ceiling. Okay, the monster 22. I like the screen name. I was like the IV Ionster. No, I think that says the monster. Okay, I'm with it though. I like it. Very creative. Cousins or Shuck 2 QB league. All right, that's cool. Yeah, go ahead. For me, I'll take Shuck. Shuck is low-key been good, y'all. Am I wrong? Like, Shuck has been pretty nice, actually. I got an interesting stat on Shuck. Can I give it to you? I got an interesting stat on Shuck here. Okay, here we go. Week 17. Okay. Tyler Shuck. Okay. The Titans have given up, prior to last week, Kansas City was obviously terrible. But prior to that, they had given up 3 consecutive 20-plus points games to opposing quarterbacks. This was Brock Purdy, Shador Sanders, and Trevor Lawrence in back-to-back-to-back weeks, right? That's not bad. Shuck has been really, really good. He has racked up 300-plus yards or 2 touchdowns, and he scored at least 17 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. Dude, Tyler Shuck has low-key been good, y'all. Give me Tyler Shuck. And unless Cousins is facing Tampa Bay, he's not been good. So I'll go there. Forever student, Trevor Lawrence or Jalen Hurts. This one's a little tougher for me. I think I want to stick with Jalen Hurts. I don't have a great read on that offense, though, unfortunately. So I so apologize, guys. I am just, like I said, I've got one foot in the grave right now. This is medicine. I got some Theraflu going right now, y'all. Okay. Anyways, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts. I think I'm leaning Jalen Hurts right here. Buffalo's defense has been absolutely atrocious. And even though Trevor Lawrence is taking on a Colts defense that has also been atrocious here a little bit, part of me wonders if the wheels finally fall off for the Colts. Like, everyone's been like on Phillip Rivers, like, they're like, oh, it's amazing how he can come back after 5 years off and like do what he's doing. At some point, that's going to catch up. You know what I mean? At some point, it's going to catch up. It might catch up this week. So I'll take Jalen Hurts here a little bit. Trevor Lawrence has a really, to me, he has a pretty bad floor. If Jacksonville gets up pretty big and they just run the rock, which I think they will be able to do. Okay. D. Herberger. Brissett or Stafford? Oh, Brissett. Brissett for sure. I'm not 100% confident. Like, if the Rams start resting guys, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing if they start taking out guys? So I'm a little bit worried, to be honest with you. If they start resting some dudes here. So yeah, I'll take Brissett for sure. All right, kicker no, I can't rank origami, dude, bro. I can't do this one. But I tell you what, you have McPherson in there, high scoring game. Let's go with the kicker in the high scoring game. Okay. We have a super chat question. Love it. James, what's up, bro? T. Hill, Brenton Strange, Waller. Give me Brenton Strange. More questionable now. Can I flex? What? More questionable now. Can I flex one of those tight ends instead? Also, I have Charb as a flex. Who's questionable? You're saying DJ Moore is questionable? Is that right? Did I miss that? Bro, I don't know who we were talking about here. Oh, Adam Schefter just tweeted out. Bears have added DJ Moore to their injury report due to illness. Both are questionable for tonight's game against the 49ers. Rome has already been ruled out. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow, man. Okay. Okay. So can you flex one of these tight ends instead of DJ Moore? I probably would not. I think I'm still playing DJ Moore. No risk it, no biscuit. But again, if I had to rank those tight ends, give me Brenton Strange. Okay. Also have Charb as a flex option for Moore. T-Law or Brissett. Again, Brissett. Give me Brissett at the quarterback position. And then if you have Charbonnet, I don't hate Charbonnet. I actually kind of sort of low-key like Charbonnet, to be honest with you. I'll give you a stat. He made my sleeper list this week. Carolina has given up 5.14 yards per carry to running backs on inside carries. That's the third worst in the NFL. If Seattle feels some kind of way about hot hand approach or whatever it might be, don't be surprised to see Zach Charbonnet get a little bit of extra work here. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle gets up double digits, which will encourage the run game. They're already a heavy run team. Zach Charbonnet gets a lot of goal line looks. I don't hate Zach Charbonnet this week at all, James. So that would be my take right there. Okay. I think, where was I at? Oh, here we are. Wait. I saw you. We got right here. Got the kicker question. Okay, then we're at Guy. All right, Dylan Sampson, Raheem Sanders, right? R. Sanders, Raheem Sanders. Pittman, Coker, Kyle Williams, you need two. Okay, Kyle Williams is the most interesting one. Obviously, injuries to Matt Collins is opening the door here for Kyle Williams. There's still no guarantee. I don't know how much he's going to play. It's really hard to say because he doesn't play that much. So I would say Kyle Williams probably like the biggest question mark. But if I'm playing two, I'm playing Dylan Sampson, and I'm going to play Michael Pittman. Are the two guys that I'm probably leaning on right there. Sampson, I think, will get first cracks at it. But it should be a pretty. I think it'll be a good even backfield split. They like Sampson. They don't love Sampson. They'll work other guys in there. So give me Sampson and Pittman. Like I said, I think a great matchup here for Michael Pittman against Jacksonville. I'll give you a stat if you guys want here. Remember, Pittman did have one of his best games against the Jags in Week 14. 12 targets, 9 receptions, 79 yards. Okay. And the Jaguars have struggled to contain outside wide receivers. They've allowed the third most fantasy points when isolating for outside wide receivers. So again, Alec Pierce has been much splashier. He could absolutely be the guy this week. But Pittman, with how good he is in the short and intermediate, I just think that works so much better with what Phillip Rivers does. So I will take Michael Pittman right there, and Dylan Sampson, like I said, should get first crack at the starting spot there. Fantasy Meatball, good to see you, pal. Always good to see Fantasy Meatball in the chat. The ship is here. It is indeed. Thank you all for your football insight, man. I appreciate you, brother. Okay. I'm sure you'll have a question in here. You're not going to just throw platitudes at me. I do appreciate them, but I'm sure we got a question here coming up as well. Where do we got? We got another super chat. Oh, we do have another super chat. Let's go. GT, what's up, brother? Good morning to you. Flex, PPR, Stevenson, Quorum, Moore, K. Williams. Is that Kyle Williams? Y'all, help me help you. Full names. Full names at the very minimum. If you go name matchup, even better. It just helps everyone get the questions answered. So I'm not trying to figure out who the hell we're talking about here. Stevenson, Quorum, Moore, and Kyle Williams. Okay. If I had to flex one, I'm flexing one in PPR. I'm probably trusting Stevenson the most. Blake Quorum is really interesting to me because where are we at with Kyron Williams? I know that golly. I know that Kyron Williams is seeing a lesser role. But still though, I'm just like I said, I'm just a little I'm not totally buying it, I guess is my point. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll go Blake. Or excuse me, Blake. I will go Ramondre Stevenson here. Only because I'm a little worried about this Moore thing. But look, if you're telling me that Moore plays and he's healthy, I'm going DJ Moore. I'm going DJ Moore right there. But the matchup against the Jets for Stevenson is really nice. I don't hate that floor that you're getting with Ramondre. Of all these players, Stevenson definitely gets you the best floor. If we're going pure upside, to me, it is DJ Moore. And I think if you want some kind of combination of floor ceiling, I think it is still DJ Moore there too. But again, I am really worried that if he's sick, he doesn't play full complement of snaps and all that kind of stuff. But I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. And DJ Moore has been a beast in recent weeks, so I think I'm leaning DJ Moore. But I could be playing Stevenson there as well. Sorry, man. That something like in illness, like what do we do with that? Like how the hell am I supposed to know how sick a guy is? I don't know. I'm assuming he'll get some IV and some freaking Advil and go out there and play, but dude, I have no clue. I have no clue what that ends up meaning. Okay, we are here. Ivan Malter, Dowdle, or Pierce? Pierce, dude. Who the hell would? Okay, Alec Pierce. I'm assuming. I mean, like Damian Pierce exists. Like, I'm like, help me, please. I'm telling you, please help me, help y'all, man. Like, what are we doing? Okay, Dowdle or Pierce? Give me Rico Dowdle. Yeah, give me Rico Dowdle. I'm good with that one. Full point PPR, Chelsea. Start Goddard, pick up time just with Kittle out. No, start Goddard. Also have Strange, but I have T-Law and Jacoby in already. No, you're playing Goddard. Play Goddard. You're good. Edwin Rodriguez, Brees Hall or Stevenson, full PPR. I will still take Ramondre right there. I don't feel great about Brees Hall. I think he's injured. They've got nothing to play for. Snap share has been dwindling. So I'll take Ramondre. Saints or Giants defense? I kind of like Giants D, to be honest with you. Saints D is interesting too. You know what? I'll take Saints def. No, I'll take Giants defense. Give me Giants defense right there, Edwin. Las Vegas is playing for nothing. They're trying to lose this game. Geno's one of the most sacked guys in the NFL. You'll have a good opportunity to score some points with your Giants DST. Terminal Sarcasm, one of the best screen names in the game. 1.5 PPR? 1.5 PPR. Replace Kincaid for the flex. Do I insert Helm? D. Washington versus Darnell Washington versus Cleveland. Amari DiMercato versus Cincinnati. Audric Estime against Tennessee. Jim was on point warning against Estime last week. Same this week. I mean, I think New Orleans gave you the blueprint last week, right, Terminal? They're not going to trust Audric Estime, Evan Hull. They're going to mix in Taysom Hill. So I think they gave you the blueprint last week. I would be surprised if they went away from that, especially considering how successful it was. That'd be weird. So I do think that Taysom Hill will get work there because he was incredibly successful from that spot last week. If you're replacing Kincaid, is Chig out? Is Chig out? Is that why we're asking about Chig Okonkwo? Where are we at with Chig? I think he's still in. Yeah, he's still in there. Gunnar Helm is interesting, but I like Gunnar Helm too. I really like him as a prospect, by the way, but it's really hard to trust when Chig is going to play as well. Darnell can't trust. DiMercado's interesting. I think if I'm pivoting, I'm probably going DiMercado and at least chasing a little bit of upside there. He gives you the best upside. And we're hoping he plays a little bit more than he did last week. Chelsea, full point PPR, Wandale, Luther Burden. We're playing Luther Burden, 100%. No question in my mind. We're playing Luther. Brandon Booty, should I play A.J. Brown considering it may be snowing? Don't care about snow. I care about wind. I care a little bit about rain, but I definitely don't care about snow. Or should I start Jawan Jennings or Wilson? Michael Wilson. Okay. No. Play AJ Brown. He's fine. I could be convinced about Jennings though. I'm not convinced about Wilson. Wilson, I think, is a speculative, high upside but low floor play. If I'm really trying to flip a coin here, I'm going Jennings or AJ Brown. I want to say AJ Brown. Um, man, but my gut, I don't know why, is telling me Jawan Jennings. But again, I think the smart play is to just play AJ Brown. He's come through in recent weeks. But man, I'm telling you, man, Brandon, I don't know why, man, but I just got a feeling about Jawan Jennings. I really, I mean, again, I know Ricky Pearsall is hurt, George Kittle is hurt. Increased target share should be available for Jawan Jennings, but he's a much riskier play. I could easily see them just giving the ball to frickin' CMC 30 times and everyone's screwed. Okay, sorry. Wandier, Swift or Henderson? Projected to win by 20, half point PPR. Well, it sounds like you want floor. I think if I want floor, I want to go Swift here. No? I think I want to go Swift if I want floor, but I don't know how. Like, if you just want like a regular answer, it's Travion Henderson. Really nice matchup against the Jets. Travion's super explosive when he's been playing. He's been amazing, right? So, I'll go Henderson here, but I guess if you really just want floor, it's Swift, But again, I'll take Henderson. Play Henderson. You're good. JJ Keats, Carter, Pollard, Burton, Waddle, start 2. Okay. I want to play Carter, Luther Burton for sure. I think you're set. There you go. I don't trust Pollard as much. Waddle, I definitely don't trust. JJ Keats again, Stafford or Purdy. I'm going Purdy here. Pretty decent matchup, and I think it'll be a much more competitive game. Okay, Daniel Caps. Worried about Tet playing. Okay. They said he's playing, though, so I don't know. Parker Washington or Burton? Oh, Burton. Parker Washington, I like Parker Washington. He's on my sleeper list, but he's like the third or fourth option. I'll take Burton. Burton's going to be the number 1. Or the number 2. But he'll be up there in what I think is going to be a pretty competitive game. Jeff Trahan, sit 1 half PPR. Tet, Jalen, I got to sit 1. Okay, I'm going to sit, I think I'm sitting Michael Carter, Michael Wilson, Luther Burton. Okay, so if I'm just sitting 1, I am going to sit, I think I'm sitting Tet of that group. Maybe I sit Warren, though. Yeah, screw it. Sit Warren. Who cares? Warren's been terrible. I mean, Warren's been terrible, and yeah, I don't care about Warren. Sit Warren. Sit Warren. Tet McMillan or Wan'Dale Robinson PPR. I'm gonna go Wan'Dale. As crazy as I love you. You will not find a bigger Tet McMillan fan than me. I think he's gonna be a superstar in this league. But that being said, obviously the questionable tag and, the quarterback play has been super inconsistent. Not a great matchup against Seattle. Give me Wan'Dale. I'll take Wan'Dale right here. Bucky Irving or Tyrone Tracy. I am leaning Tracy. Better matchup. That being said, Tampa Bay, to me, I think Bucky has the best ceiling. There's just no question Bucky's got the best ceiling, period. Right? So, again, if you need points and you really want to just, like, hit, it's not even a home run. It's just like, again, they take him off goal line. Like, that's the problem, right? Like, they're not really letting him do the goal line stuff. But that being said, they have in the past. Maybe they like their other backs right now. I don't know, but I don't think there's any question. Bucky Irving's your high ceiling play. Okay, Loveland or Strange? Strange. Loveland's been okay. Guys, I don't know. Am I tripping? Like, I don't think Loveland's a great player. Like, I think Loveland's okay. Like, Chicago, again, whiffing on tight end, whiffing on running back, like, doesn't surprise me at all. Like, they just keep going to tight end. They keep going to running back for whatever reason. They can't get it right. I don't know. I think Loveland looks like a guy to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. But give me Brenton Strange. I think Brenton Strange looks like a better player straight up than Colson Loveland. I don't know. Okay, Guy, what's up? Thoughts on London playing Monday? Well, I think he's going to play. Is he going to be on a snap count? I don't know. They'll probably let him play a little bit more though. You've got Mooney and Godwin as pivots. Okay. Messed up not putting Sutton in at wide receiver, so my flex is locked. Oh, little mismanagement there. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, look, I like London. Guy, I think you're okay. Okay, Rico or Sampson, Loveland or Tonjes. Okay, give me Rico. I'll take Rico right there. Better offense overall. And Loveland or Tonjes. I'll take Tonjes. Give me Tonjes right there. Papa Greco! What's up, man? Tony Pollard versus New Orleans. Michael Carter versus Cincy. Corum versus Atlanta. Okay, I'm going to take Michael Carter right there. High-scoring game. Let's see what we got going on. But I'll take Michael Carter against Cincinnati. Tony Pollard. Oh, okay, we got the same one. Okay. Cody, Philly. Taysom Hill, Tonjes. Taysom Hill. No question. Eric Myers. 4 spots, 3 options. I got to sit 1. Mike Evans, play him. Travion Henderson, play him. A.J. Brown, Drake London. We're sitting down Drake London of this group. Yep. Injury, snap count, stuff like that. I think we sit down Drake London. Okay. Peter Bentiv, something or other. Okay. Need upside. If you need upside, it's Jacoby Brissett. I've answered this question a lot. It's Jacoby Brissett. Super Dave. Good luck. I heart you all. I heart you too, Super Dave. Toby. Dowdle, Kyle Williams, Parker Washington. Oh, we're going Rico here. No? I think we're going Rico. Rico's been pretty reliable. Again, if you're chasing upside, give me Parker Washington though. In a half PPR makes it a little bit riskier, but I like Parker Washington. I like Parker Washington a bit there. Papa Greco, Tony. Oh, sorry, I got this one. Wait, did I? Michael Carter, Cincy, Luther Burden versus San Francisco. Okay. It's still Michael Carter for me, but Luther Burden is a very close second. Twin Daddy-O, full PPR. Got 5 minutes to go. Full PPR, Dowdle or Sampson, Allen or May. Rico Dowdle, and then Josh Allen. Cindy, good luck. I hope I didn't take you in the wrong direction. Derek Dortch, Tyler Shuck, Dart. Give me Jackson Dart. The running ability, I think, makes it a little bit more interesting for me. Tyler Shuck is in a really, really good spot. My only thing with Dart is, will they take him out? And in that way, I would say you could play Tyler Shuck. They're going to play Tyler Shuck no matter what. So I'll say if you need total upside, Dart. If you need some kind of floor ceiling combination, Tyler Shuck. The real MVP, start Warren and Gainwell, or start one of the two. You want to start Gainwell, have to start Gainwell. And yeah, I think I want to start Gainwell and Tat. Really hard to play both guys in the same backfield. Derek Dortch, Taysom Hill, or Strange. We're going Brenton Strange right there. Saints D, Giants D. I think I went Giants D. Guy, McPherson, Cam Little. Yeah, no, we're going McPherson in a high scoring game, although I really love Cam Little too. Shoot. Actually, I think give me Cam Little over Evan McPherson. Guy. Okay, just saw that the Bears wide receivers are now questionable. If they can't go, what's the outlook for Loveland? Hill or Loveland today? I'm still going Taysom Hill. PPR, Breece Hall or Marvin Harrison need upside. You're playing against Henry. Yeah, if you need upside, definitely go Marvin Harrison if you need upside. Henderson or A.J. Brown? I'm going Travion Henderson. That one could get a little sideways on me, though. But Doormat, I'm going Travion Henderson right there. Okay. Fighting solves everything. Not true. And I box. But not true. Fighting does not solve everything. Flex 2, Travion Henderson, Tet, Michael Wilson. Okay, so I want to play Travion. And I think I'm going Michael Wilson there. Guys, I'm chasing this Cincinnati-Arizona game, man. I could end up being wrong, but 53.5, that's too high. That's crazy. Bradley Kraft, kicker question. You've got Boswell. Bro, come on, man. I don't care about Boswell. I probably have McPherson over Boswell. Alan Medina. Hey, what's up? It's my producer, Alan Medina. What's going on? Who should I start at the flex? Dylan Sampson, Ramondre, or Jacoby Myers? Oh, Jacoby. I can't sit Jacoby. Jacoby's too good right now. Okay. Rodobi. Half PPR. Strange. Loveland Tonja. Strange. Easy. Easy one for me. Kyle Bernstein. You need some help? At Adam Schefter? Wrong stream, pal. Okay. Barner, Tonjes, Hill. Who am I choosing? Honestly, I think I feel the best about Taysom Hill, to be honest with you. Brissett or Shuck? Oh, Brissett by a million miles, Rodobi. Good luck, dude. Half PPR for Alfredo Fettuccine. What? I would love to go for some Alfredo Fettuccine right now. Half PPR, Dylan Sampson, Kyle Williams. Dude. Floor, Dylan Sampson, no question. Dude, if you want upside, Kyle Williams. This guy could play. By the way, he's going to be one of my favorite sleepers next year. Kyle Williams is a baller. Badgers, Kyle Pitts or Hunter Henry. Kyle Pitts or Hunter Henry? Hunter Henry. Give me Hunter Henry right here. Kyle Pitts is really interesting, though. I'd probably lean Hunter Henry, though. Very lean. 51% confidence on Hunter Henry. Nelson, Superflex. Quarter PPR. Cousins. What? No, you're playing your quarterback. There's no question. You're playing your quarterback. Play Cousins. Jeff Trahan. Dude, am I at the bottom? Look at this. This is amazing. Sit one, half PPR, Tet, Michael Wilson, Jalen Warren, Michael Carter, Burden. If I'm sitting, I think I answered this question, right? I did. Start two, Burden, Abuka, Carter. Burden, Abuka. Okay, I want to play Burden. I want to play Carter. I want to sit Abuka. Right there, Salty. All right, good luck. This is for, okay, Kyle Williams or Tonjes or Adonai Mitchell. I'll play Adonai Mitchell. Kyle Williams for upside, but I like Adonai Mitchell of that group. And then finally, thoughts on Hunter Henry versus Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I'm leaning Hunter Henry there. Like I said, 51% confidence. I can't believe I got to the end of the question list. This is amazing, y'all. I appreciate everyone out there. This was great. This is awesome. I have no idea if we're honestly. This is what's really funny. I have no clue if we're doing a start sit live stream next week. I literally have no idea. I'm the epitome of like just tell me when to show up, man, and I'll be here, bro. I have no clue, but if we're here, we're here, and if we're not, I love y'all. And this was my last stream of the season. Last stream for RotoWire, period. But again, we're getting right down to it. So unless something crazy happens, this is my last stream for RotoWire. But again, I don't know if we're going to be here next week. If we are, I'll see y'all next week, and then I'll say my goodbyes then. But if not, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have been great, man. Nelson, I see you, bro. So yeah, good luck to everyone out there. It's championship week, man. Good luck. Go get those fantasy points, man. But again, if I helped you, great. And if not, dude, I feel bad. I really do. Some of these questions I do take home with me, man. Like, I'm like, God, man, I hope I got this one right. Like, that's the one thing I don't want you guys to think. Like, I care. I do. I legitimately care. I want to be helpful. Not just right, but like helpful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to help people, man. So I do take some of these questions home with me, man. So anyways, I appreciate everyone out there. If you guys are still streaming with me, it's all good. But if I'm here next week, I'm here next week. And if I'm not, well, hey, peace. But again, you guys could always find me at James D. Koh, last name spelled K-O-H, at James D. Koh on all the social platforms. And yeah, man, we'll get it going. I'll still be around this off season too. So got some projects and things that I'm working on in the football space. Anyways, I appreciate everyone, man. But we'll catch you guys. Good luck this championship week. Of my 7 leagues, I'm in 0 championships. First time in a long time that I'm in 0 championships. I'm depressed. And I'm sick as a dog. But yeah, man, hope everyone's doing well out there. Stay healthy and go win those championships. All right, man. Peace. We'll see you.